Hello everyone, welcome back. Day 3 for our Selenium training with Python with special focus on robot framework. So let's get into what we were doing till the previous session and we're going to take it forward from there. So if you remember everyone, what we did was we learned the basics of Selenium IDE to begin with. That was the first project. We realized all the tools that are required to install at your end that need to be performed to be able to work on what we're doing so far. And we have kind of migrated one script from Selenium IDE to our Selenium WebDriver with Python. So far, we have not touched anything with Robot Framework. But what I intend to do is create a very simple framework at the beginning using very pure Python programming and Selenium WebDriver, and then we will get more into how we do execution of robot framework. So our understanding, our base of robot framework will become easy. So what we will do, team, is a data-driven framework using WebDriver and Python. So while we do this, not only will we understand how Python as a programming language works, but also a lot of concepts about automation and Selenium WebDriver overall. I will continue to use Interact as an application because that's an application that will give us a lot of overall feel on a lot of these features that we could work with. So this application has a lot many things that we could do, team. And if you look at one of the things that we can do is forgot password that we were looking at earlier, login, all these features are there. I'm going to log in as an administrator of one of the institutes and show you how it works. So let me first give you the walkthrough of the app very quickly for again another 10 seconds as to not 10 seconds but at least 30-40 seconds as to how this application works, and from there on I'm gonna give you more insight into how we're gonna build our data-driven framework. So this application is very simple. It talks about a trainer to trainee communication, how we send messages and so on. So the first thing in this as a setup is how we register an institute or an admin for that specific institute. Once that part is done, the institute admin is able to add the courses, then add the trainers and link them to courses, and add trainees and link these trainees to courses. Finally, a trainer can log in as part of that institute admin and be able to send a message which looks very similar to any kind of an email template that we typically use. And in this, we have the subject, the body, the course. We also say what category the message belongs to, and then broadcast that message. Categories are small icons that kind of describe what these notifications are all about. So I can send a video, a map, a question, a link, and so on. And the trainee gets to look at these as an email, as an alert on their mobile application that can be downloaded on iOS and Android. And also they can log into the web browser and see that. That's all this application is about right now, team. So when I log in as one of the institute admin, I get the ability to see all the various courses that we have, all the trainers that are associated with each course, and who are the trainees that are there overall, and I can search a trainee by their name or by course. And this gives us the overall control of how things are done. In this application, in this current version of the development environment, which is actually live, it's not a development, but the live environment, I have an ability to add a trainee, but I can only add one trainee at a time. Is there a way that I could automate this process and make a script out of it? So what do I mean? I have a few steps to do, team. So I'm going to take a Google sheet and start writing what I want to do and show you exactly how I'm going to do it at my end. Now, by the time we will start day 4, I will give you the access to a test environment where you can do the same. So the same things that we're doing that I'm showing on the live environment, I'm going to give you access on the test environment and you can start doing it there. This is project 2 DDF. What is a data-driven framework? How does it work? Why do we need it? And so on. I'm going to continue to explain as we go along. But as of now, just imagine a test scenario. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'll put a test case ID, a step detail, what that step will do, and then we will talk about a few more things around it. So let's call this as iaft underscore add trainees underscore 001. That's the name of a test case that I've given as of now, team. Okay. So why can't I do this? My mouse is acting a little weird. I think I need an external mouse. Give me 1 second, team. I'm going to get an external mouse, please. Looks like I'm missing a mouse at my residence. Maybe tomorrow I'll go pick it up from the office team. But let's go ahead with this. I'm gonna talk about this. So the first thing is open Interact app. This is the first step, team. Can you all hear me okay, everyone? Is everyone with me? Yeah, Murli, you're right. I can at least do an overall wrap the text. So format, text wrapping, wrap. So it'll at least go into the next line. Thank you, Murli. Good idea. So we'll open the Interact app, click on login, then we're gonna enter username, enter password, click login, then click on trainees. So we logged in as admin right now. Then click on add trainees. So till here I've shown you what we're doing, right? Now what you need to do is enter all these things, all these different fields. So username, first name, last name, email, trainee icon I'll ignore because it's also optional, and the course that we're related to. So enter username, enter first name, enter last name. So you see the abbreviation, U is lowercase and then N is uppercase. So one kind of distinguishing of how we can do it. We can also use underscore and so on. Enter email. I'll just say user email. Enter course name. Check box. Then what do we have? Let's see. So this check to receive email notifications and then finally create. Click create and confirm creation of new trainee These are the steps, team, overall. Right, everyone? You understand what I'm doing? Now, the need for me, and we're not even talking about testing as of now. We're just talking about automation. How do we automate a process? And that's most important. When we talk about automation testing, there are two things in it. Waiting for the pane to open up so I can quickly draw. So, oh, this click is not working. Let me use my hand. That's good. Automation testing team. So when I say automation testing, 90% of what we will do will focus on automation itself. From there, testing will become very easy and it's just 10% effort for us. How do we automate? How do we make and build these automation scripts? That is the main focus. So right now we're not focused too much on testing aspect. Now, to execute these steps, we as human, forget automation, manual testing. What do we require? We require some kind of a test data, correct? So what kind of a test data is it that we require? For each of these things, we require data. And it's not, oops. I'm trying with mine because I realize mine is a touch screen. So I'm seeing if I can do it with this. I'm not able to. Something is fishy out here. That's fine. I require test data for each of them. The first thing is I require the URL for the main app. Okay. See how I'm building. The whole process of building. I'm not giving you initially the steps of building. I'm doing it and then finally I'll tell you these are the steps. To click on login, do you require test data? Anyone? Do we require test data to click on login? So I'm going to log out and show you where we are or where we were. We don't require test data for it. It's just an operation. A user needs to perform this. This is going to be very, very interesting project. And by the end, you'll really understand the power of what Selenium can do, especially with Python, which is a very, very fast programming language. I don't require test data. But then there's something else that is required when it comes to automation. Manual testing, all this I understand. But when it comes to automation testing, we need to make sure that there are certain other things that are important. I know what is the test case ID. I know what the step does. There's a test data column. What else do I require? What are the two most important aspects when it comes to automation testing? I talked about those two W's. What are they? Remember, anyone? There are two W's that are important. One is the what we need to do and where we need to perform. So when we talk about the where aspect, what is very critical out here is the element identification. Quick question to all the audience. Have you seen the videos on element identifications which explains at detail level how an XPath is done and so on? Have you all done that? Have you seen those videos? You can say yes or no. And that's the beauty of online thing, is because you're not answering where your answers are visible to everyone else. You must do it, please. So I see a few no's, I see a few yeses. For the people who have not done it, please do watch it because that will give you a great idea. We will follow the X pathway as much as we can to try and identify how we can look at where we need to perform that specific operation. So here I need to talk about an element identifier. To open an Interact app, I don't need an element identifier. To click on login, I need that. So how do I click on this login? I need to find out the XPath for this. Luckily, at least the XPaths for few of these elements, the first few ones are here. So this is login link. So I can say either link text is login, or I can even write an XPath for this. Let's say we only want to go the XPath way. If you notice, team, why don't I have the inspect element with Firebug out here? Because I'm using Chrome. In Chrome, there's no inspect element with Firebug. Firebug comes default with, not default, by as an add-on to only Firefox. But Chrome it doesn't. But if you look at IE or Chrome, they always have inspect. So you can inspect the code. Here I have a href so and so is login. So I can simply say a class is intro login. I can create an XPath for it. What will be the XPath for this? Let me get this out. Okay. The XPath will be 2 forward slashes. A is the HTML tag, open square brackets, at class equals in single quotes this value, and then end the square brackets. This is what is the XPath for this. And enter username. I need a username. So here I'll say admin is the username. It's not the right one yet because we still need the test environment. By the time we get into the day 4, all these things will be there for us. Enter password, then click on login. I don't require data. Click on trainees. I don't require data. Click on add trainee. I don't require data. It's not add trainees. Click on add trainee. Enter username. I'll just say trainee you name. Okay. Then trainee F name. Then trainee L name. See how I'm trying to put everything in the right way. Here also I'll say admin username, admin password. Look at how our script will come in a very, very beautiful fashion with this. Trainee email, trainee course name. Checkbox, again I don't require anything. Click create, no test data. Confirm creation of new trainee. This we'll have to check because we don't know yet. And then finally we can log out. Click log out. But all of this require some kind of an XPath that we need to work with. At least for the first few we already have from here. So actually we don't. It's all forgot password. Now let's do that. All I require is XPaths. So we'll start doing the XPath for each of these by looking at our application. So login is done. Let's assume that login is done. Then we have to enter the username. So right click and say inspect. And for username, I can say input. And ID is a good attribute name that we can use. Or even name is fine. So I can use name or ID. Let's use name. Input, the name is log. So what will be the XPath for this? 2 forward slashes. Input, open square brackets, at ID or name equals in single quotes log. That is what we saw, correct? Name is log, and be very conscious of if it's uppercase or lowercase case. Okay. Then password. So inspect, input, ID is user underscore pass. So this is done. Again 2 forward slashes. Input at ID equals user underscore pass. Now you all also have to make sure that you do these steps the way I'm doing it, not copy paste, not look at the code that I've given you and then do it as much. While I emphasize that yes, first you need to understand to read and so on, try and do it at your end. While I'm showing, you do it at your end. Finally, we have to click on login. How do I click on login? Let's inspect this. While I'm doing all of this, I'll ask you one question, team. So the here button class is submit. What is it that I'm not doing? That is very important. There's one specific step that I'm not performing that is typically very important. Can you guess that step? We know Firepath, you can forget it. We don't want to depend on Firepath. We want to customize and give our own path. And I want you to be experts at writing the XPath rather than depending on a tool to get it. But there's one step that I'm not, after writing XPath, I'm not doing something that is very critical for all of us from a real project environment. What is that? It's not about one element like link text or so, it's in general. I am not cross-verifying using Selenium IDE if that is correct or not. Because you write the XPath, but how do you know if it is correct information to identify that element? How do we know that? There is no way we can know it unless you use Selenium IDE on the side of the application to do it. So that part, as of now, I'm skipping, but I'm mentioning very clearly that that is necessary. Unless we do that, we cannot really confirm that yes, this application, whatever we're doing is working or not. Now I want to click on the link trainees. So right click, inspect, and you'll notice as we go along, there'll be so many new changes that we will do to this. So this is add new inactive. I think this will give us the trouble that we want, and that will help me to show you why and what. A at class equals add new inactive. Okay, then we click on add trainees, and then we have to fill that the whole thing. Let's keep it till here, team, and let's look at how do we create a script based on this. Okay, I'm not going to do entire thing right away because we want to handle things in a one by one fashion. Sorry guys. So I want to do it in a very step-by-step phased manner. If we try and build the whole project from the beginning, as of now, we will not know where the issue is and where we're getting stuck. Okay. Now, the column C that you see is test data is the one which is going to change as well, because my interest is not to add one trainee. In these, there will be a few steps that we may want to repeat. So what are the steps that we want to repeat? We will have to really sit down and figure those out. Okay. The logic of the application and how a user who comes to visit it will perform it is very important thing. All right. Now, let's look at how we create the script in our Python in Eclipse IDE using Selenium WebDriver. So we already have created our Python project called RSP_SCP2016. It's a PyDev project. So out here I can right click and say new file. What should be the name of this file? I'll say project2 underscore iaft underscore add trainees 1 because I may create different versions of it, and we will start with the first version and then we go on. Now, anything else that I'm missing out here when I'm creating a new file in a project? What else am I missing when I'm creating a new file in a project? I want everyone to answer. If you don't know, you're more than welcome to say I don't know and looks like fine, or make a mistake, but do not be silent. I want each of you to answer. Make a mistake, say I don't know, or try and answer, and that is absolutely fine. If you do not interact, you're wasting all your time by coming to the session, team. There's no point in you just sitting idly. You're not going to learn. This is not how online training will work. So please involve into it. Why do I get only a few responses when there are dozens of people out here? Can everyone start replying and interacting, please? This is your time. It's your valuable time and effort that you're putting in. All right. Make sure there's always a .py extension at the end. That is the only way that our project will know that it's a Python program. Okay. Now, we will learn the basics of Python programming as we do what we're doing right now. Okay. The first thing that we need to do in Python is how we write comments. Comments are very critical to you. Comments will tell me what it is. So here, first comment, I will say about the program. Okay. And I'm going to say that this one is test case, whatever we said, IAFT_add trainees. That is the name of the test case. And I will say used to add multiple trainees to a specific course in Interact. So when we're trying to do this operation, this is what we're trying to achieve. We want to add multiple trainees. So these are notes that you all require. What are the additional notes, team? All the test steps that we have, you should copy them and also put them as comments. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to put them as comments. So all of this text, if I write it as is, the Python interpreter, which interprets how this language works, will not understand. You need to tell them that these are comments. So we'll start commenting each of them. And look, there's manual effort involved. There's no shortcut to it. And I am spending as a trainer the effort to do it because it is critical, important for each of you to know that there is effort involved in learning this. But the right guide, the right guidance is what is critical. To tell you, to show you exactly what to do, how to do, when to do. Okay. The decision making is the only tough part, which you already decided that this is the programming or this is the combination for you to learn. Now we're going to talk about the execution of it. All right. So these are now the different test step comments. Even before we start, let's talk about the variables. So I've not written even a single piece of code that is related with the programming except for the comments. What are variables, team? Variables are very simple. They are one of the most simplest building blocks when it comes to any programming language, be it Java, C language, C#, Python, Ruby on Rails, PHP, any programming language that you take, variables are the smallest building blocks. They store information. The name itself, variable, means that that information can change over a period of time. While we're executing a program, the chances that information will change. For a variable, there are only two attributes to it. One is the name for the variable. Second is the value in it. Name is how we call it. All right. Value is what is stored under the name that we come up. The easiest reference to it that you can look from a real life perspective is on your cell phones, you store contact information of your friends, your family, your contacts, professional, personal, and so on. What do? Do I have to remember the phone numbers of every contact that I have? It's tough, but I already know name, which is very logical. Let's say I know two people who are named as Sam. There's Sam in India, there's a Sam in US. So how will I write the name in the contact list? Sam India or Sam US, and then put a number. So whenever I want to call Sam, let's say US, I just have to search for Sam US and get that number, and it will give me that number because I stored it. Tomorrow, Sam changes his provider from AT&T to, let's say, Verizon Wireless. Then what do? We just go, not just the provider, but also the contact number, and change the value. Do you change the name? No, name is the same. Name is always used to refer. But then I will change the value of what is held in there. That is all that is required to understand what are variables. In our programming aspect, variables become the building blocks for any project, any program. So these variables store information that we seek to use in the program through the life of it. And when we're doing that, we want to be able to have the opportunity to also edit them. So unlike many programming languages that typically say there are types of variable, Types means data type is it a text? Is it a number? Is it a small number, integer, or long number, digital, double, or float, or boolean? The different types. And I don't want it to be overwhelmed with different data types as of now. As we keep seeing different data types, we'll keep exploring them. Okay. All I need to do is get the names of these variables from the sheet that we created. Okay. Here we have a few variables that we created, which is nothing but our main test data. I'm going to put it out here too. All right. What is the first one? It is the URL of the application. So I'll just call this as variable, or V for variable, URL equals this value. And this basically means whatever is in the left side is the name of the variable and right side is the value. Whatever we put here will go into the left side. Okay. But as is, it cannot understand, because this format, it's thinking that, hey, is it a command that the user is writing in a program, or is it a value? Here we're writing a value. So I need to enclose them in quotes, in double quotes. That tells my Python interpreter or program that yes, it is a variable. Okay. So we have defined one variable right now. VURL equals so and so. And we put the value into it. Okay. And similarly, I'm going to say that admin username, I'm going to say v admin username, and let's put a value into it. I don't know the value. I'll just say ITeLearn, for example. All right. What happened here? Why doesn't it recognize? Something I'm doing not correct. Oh, sorry. Single quotes, not double quotes. There is a big difference. How many of you installed Python 2 version and Python 3 version, team? Something is still wrong here. This is fine actually. Double quotes was also fine. What am I doing wrong? I saved this as .py. That's good. Let me save this. Oh. Let's save this. What interpreter am I using here? Properties. This is the project. There is a significant difference in Python 3 version and 2.7. So I don't know why this is coming up. There's no reason for this to come up. Python 2.7 also is fine, team. So we have to switch a little bit between them, and the grammar is the only thing that's important. I don't know why. Something I'm not doing correct. Let me do a simple print statement and see if that works. Print hello. So this is fine. Print statement is working fine. Why is this not working? And like anyone else, team, what you need to do is whenever you're stuck with your programming or your syntax, go and search for it. Python 3 tutorial syntax. This is syntax. Cheat sheet. Okay, let's see cheat sheet. It'll give me a quick overview. I don't know which one. Sorry. Okay. See, double quotes or single quotes also is fine. That's what I did. C colon dir new. I think it is just these specific quotes that I have, which I need to change it into this format. I'm assuming the forward slash is like an escape character. Now let's see. Use double quotes. Things will go out. Come on. Lexical error at line 6, column 36. It should take whatever I give. So I'm really surprised. Let me put a hash for this URL and see if at least the username is taking it correctly. It's still showing the error for a commented line. I don't understand what is the problem for it. What I'm looking at, this is red cross team. vAdmin ITeLearn, this it didn't have a problem. But just for that. v URL equals hello. Does it take this? You know, this looks more issue with the Eclipse as of now than anything else, because there's no reason for it to throw an error for a comment where the HTTP is. Okay, so I don't think it's got anything to do with our programming and so on. I'm just going to see what is important for all of you team, all of us, is issues are going to come and how do we handle them? How do we figure out a way to get over them? Okay, see, this red cross is still not going. That is what I'm trying to mention. Now what I'll do is uh, I'm gonna comment everything else from here and just do till here. vAdmin username, vAdmin password. Let's do this also. Say this is PSWD for now. Okay. vTrainee username. We have a few of these. Let's just put some values. Username. Dummy values as of now. Once we have our environment, we will do the all other values. Password. First name, right? Just say F name. This is L name. This is user at interact.com. Some email. Course name, let's just say RSP. You have to make sure that the course is there. Anything that you see as hyphen, delete them. We don't need it. And here are the different variables that we're working with. Okay, so let's run this code and see if it's working, team, as till here. So I'm just going to quickly run. Now it's gone, that error, whatever I was seeing. So we're going to do as a Python run. All we expect to see is a simple hello coming. That's all, because I said print hello. So here we have defined the variables. That is what we're doing here. I'll just put at, it's easy for us to understand. Define the program variables. This is what is needed for us. Let's try URL and make sure that that's fine too right now. Then we have all the variables created. For what reason it did not recognize earlier, I don't know. Okay. Begin test. That is the comment I'll put out here at the beginning. All right. So let's save this, let's run it. It'll just say begin test. So at this point, when the test is executing, all this memory, all these variables are stored in the memory. That these are the names of the variables and these are the values. Now let's say I want to see the value, what is there in URL. So I don't need this. Only one variable, and let's try that http:// again. Even this should not be a problem, I'm assuming. And I'm going to print the variable URL. So you remember the concept of variables, you call the name and the number gets displayed. So if I need to print the value of the variable, I say print VURL and run this code, and you will notice VURL again has an issue. Print VURL. Okay, why? And here is the big important thing for us. Whenever you see an error in the program run, what you need to do is three things, team. Where did that error occur? What is the error? How do we fix that? All right. Lot of times we jump into conclusion that, hey, you know what? I think some other mistake and we give up. You will all face these challenges when you keep doing your programming. And here is where it is for you to really sit down and make sure that you correct each and everything. You cannot give up at this point. Never ever give up in programming. Keep trying. See, for example, the same line I wrote as line number 7 earlier, it gave me an error. And there was no reason it should have given me an error. But then I thought something is wrong with the Eclipse IDE itself went about, and that error disappeared. There was nothing wrong with the code. It was just how this Eclipse IDE misinterpreted something that I wrote, and that's why it gave. Now the error is on line 16. This one out here is showing you exactly where the error occurred. It says line 16. Always look at this runtime error stream. When you run a code and you get an error, this is called a run error. And you have to look at which line and why. In this case, the reason being the print command, which prints something into the console, needs to be provided within brackets. If I don't do it, then it will give an error. This is one of the few changes that have happened to the syntax of programming between Python, the 2.7 version and the 3 versions that we're using right now. That is a simple issue. So what did we want to print? The value of VURL, but we got the actual VURL itself, the name itself. I don't need the name. I need the value. And the way I'll do it is just give the name of the variable without anything in quotes. Once you put double quotes, the information is taken as is. You can put anything into it. Numbers, characters, text, doesn't matter. It'll take and give it as is. So now I have two print statements, and now you can see the value coming in. So we know that VURL will store the variable, is the variable name that will store the URL of the application itself. Now we have to open Interact app. So to do that, what do I need to do, team? Remember, whenever you have a question, go back to your basic code, the version that you did before this, where I say which browser and implicitly wait. These statements are important for me. So I'm going to quickly copy this and put them out here. Unless we set up our Selenium WebDriver, we cannot work with anything. So I'm going to say that I'm going to import WebDriver from Selenium, and I will call it as driver, or let's call it a simple myD. That's the name I'm giving. Even this is like a variable. The only difference is the fact that it is an object which we have not come to yet. So I'm saying this is myD. The name of the variable is myD. Anything that I want to do, now I can perform on myD. What is it that we do typically on this? We say two things, team. One is what you want to do, and second is the information that you need to pass into it. Sometimes it is just test data, sometimes it is the XPath or the element identifier. As soon as you write myD in your program, right now, it should tell you what are the different options that you can do. See, I wrote myD dot, and then it will show you the different methods that you can perform. This is the basic concepts of any object-oriented programming system, which is also called as OOPS. I will be talking very deeply about OOPS and objects going forward, but let me give you a quick overview of what it is. Is everyone with me, team? You understand? The small issue that we faced was not our programming, but it was something to do with more Eclipse IDE maybe. But then we said, you know what? We trust our code. Let's try and continue, and now let's see. When it comes to objects and object-oriented programming system, it's very simple. OOPS is a concept where everything that we do in our programming is talking about that. Let's call them as objects. Objects are nothing but two things, team. They have specifically something called as properties, and then there are things called as methods. Properties are used to describe an object. Methods are used to perform an action on that object. Very simple. Let's say I have a car. A car is an object or a class or a type of thing. What is a car? It can drive, it has 4 doors, it has a steering wheel, it has at least 4-seater or 2-seater, it's got an engine, it's got 4 wheels, and so on. Now, when it comes to my specific car, I will call it as my car. That is the name. Okay. How do I distinguish my car from your car? My car is blue color. It is of a make BMW. It is of a model, let's say X5, and it's a black color, or sorry, it's a blue color. It's got 4 doors. It's got so and so license plate number. It's got such a VIN or vehicle identification number, and so on. So some are used to describe the object. Some are used to identify the object. So let us say I give you my car keys and say, hey, you know what? It is parked in the garage. Can you go and bring it? Do I give you a VIN number of the vehicle, which is very, very tough to look at? Or do I just tell you the make and model, and if need be, the license plate number also? I'll tell you it's a blue BMW X5. And the license plate number is 7YDA293. That's it. So I can describe an object using the properties, or I can identify it using the properties. That is the part of properties when it comes to objects. And like I said, we will keep discussing a lot on this OOPS concept as we go through each class, but this is the starting point. Now, what are the methods? So I told my friend that, hey, my car is parked in the garage. Go find it. So what did she do? She went and she said where that is located. Now, she needs to perform an action on it. What is it? Number 1, she has to unlock the car. Number 2, she has to open the door of the car. Number 3, she can sit in the car and start the engine. 4, she can start driving it to a certain place. Or let's say she just has to go and bring a bag from the car. These are the different actions that you can perform on a car, because it is object is of type or class called car. My car is one instance of that object, okay, of that class. Now let's look at a smartphone like an iPhone 7. Even that is an object. My iPhone 7 will have a different password, it will have a different color, it will have different apps installed, and so on. Now, can you unlock an iPhone? Yes, you can unlock. Can you start an iPhone? You can, but you can't open a door for an iPhone, right? That is where the methods that we perform can be different. So there can be a main make, model, color, whatever. But what you can do on them is different. In our programming language, that is the 2 important things. So the first thing in this line number 7 that you see is called driver. That is the name of that object that is used to identify that object. How do we identify? Because line 3 and line 4 is saying driver equals WebDriver.Firefox, and line 4 is saying implicitly wait for 10 seconds. Implicitly wait, we will discuss at length also. There's a lot of things, team, but let's get the fundamentals first, then we can go deep into everything. That will become clear. So on driver dot get so and so, we are performing an action. Dot get is the action that we're performing. In our new code, as soon as I wrote my d dot, you can see all the different actions that you can perform. Okay, my driver, what do you want to do? Do you want to find an element? Do you want to click on it? Do you want to close it? Do you want to go back? And all these things that you can see with that M abbreviation, those are the methods that you can perform on it. Depending on the object type, that will differ. So line 23 here is saying it's a WebDriver Firefox. So I can do something on it. And here, what do I want to do on line 26? It is open in draft app. To open it, I just have to say get and put the URL here. Sorry team, give me a second please. The URL is now our variable. We already created variable. So I'll say VURL name, and again look, no double quotes. So first step is done. Click on login. How do I click on login? Same browser, my d dot, first I need to find the element. And to find an element, as soon as I write fin, you'll see all the different methods that start with fin. Find element by XPath, by CSS, by class name, by ID, link text, all this. How did we write? To click on the login, we said that we're using XPath. So I'll say by XPath. Okay. Now I have to put the XPath for it. Where is the XPath? Good. We've been prepared and we put all the information already in our browser. Where is it? I think it's here. So I have the XPath for it. Now see, so simple. Control C, Control V. Did we parameterize or make it a variable? No. XPath we have not put it as variables for now. We just kept it as is. Okay. So hopefully it will click on login. Then I want to enter username. How do I enter username? Same thing. My D, because the object will remain the same, the parent object. In that I need to find its child object and find element by XPath is the way I'm using. And here I'm going to enter how I recognize username. So what are we doing here, team? Line 30 and line 33. What is it that I'm doing? I'm finding an element in that browser, which is a WebDriver open browser on Firefox. But am I actually performing an action on it? Team, I'll take another 5-10 minutes additional because I want to be able to run the script and show you as well. Not yet. I just found the element. But what do I do on line 30? I need to click on it. Another dot, and you will see all the things that you can do on that, on an element within a browser right now. Because my D is the parent, this element is the child. So every object can have a parent. Alright, so there's a parent and child relationship when it comes to OOPS. You remember I told you OOPS is a concept that will eventually evolve. This is the next concept. So there are so many types of cars. So I can say there is a coupe. I can say there is a sedan. I can say there is a sports car. I can say it is a minivan or an SUV and so on. What does it mean? Of the same properties of vehicles that have engines and they will run, and they'll have 4 tires and so on. There's variance. What's the difference between coupe and sedan? They're also cars. They all belong to cars overall. Car is the parent. Now the coupe is a variation of that. Why? Because it's only got 2 doors. Sedan has got 4 doors. Sports car has a different engine and make and performance. Minivan has sliding doors. SUV has more ground clearance. These are the variations of it. So there's a parent of that and there's a child that we can look into it. So these are classes and the subclasses team overall. Okay. In the parent and child, there are 2 parts to it. Parent and child. Child are sometimes related to what is there within that parent. Now, in our web browsers that we see, here is the image of the entire website. All these elements that you see, like a link, an image, a text, edit field, a checkbox, button, whatever you see, are all belonging inside this parent. They are parts inside that specific parent object. Okay, so there are elements which are there inside. So for me, when it comes to cars, my car seats, my steering wheel, my let's say MP3 player or CDs that we have, or Bluetooth, everything that we have inside, my perfume for the car freshener and so on, all these things are elements that are there inside that car. All right. In here we're saying my D is referring to the browser, then find element by XPath is referring to that element. I need to perform an action on that element, and then the method that I want to perform is dot click. For entering username, I need to type something into it. So if I say dot type, there's nothing. Then what is the command dot set? Nothing. Dot edit? Nothing. How do I know what is the command to enter something? Do you remember, team? How many of you do not remember? What is the command? Because it is not important when it comes to programming for you to remember each and everything. You should know the concept and the fact that you are able to get a solution as and when needed. That is very important. How do we get that? Murli, you're right. What I explained is also called as inheritance as an overall thing, but I've not called it because it will confuse overall audience, because these terms have been over complexed in the world of IT for many, many decades. And our duty is to simplify them so it's easy for us to learn. We don't have a solution always when it comes to IT team, but our ability to find a solution when we want it is what will make us a good programmer. There are easy ways. One, you do a Google search, you go and find and see what the solution is. How do I send? What is the command to say, put text into a WebDriver element using Python? Or look at a previous code where we did it. That's it. You don't have to worry too much about trying to achieve everything. You just have to remember the basics. The fundamentals is always very important, and then you arrive at each and everything that is required from there on. So here I can see on line 11 from the previous code is send underscore keys. That's it. Now my life is easy. And as soon as you write send underscore keys, it will also give you the help pop-up as a tool tip which says what it does. This is so and so, argument so and so. Use this to send simple key events or to fill out form fields. That's it. Now what do I want to fill on this? This is for entering username. Which one? Admin, right? So do we have already a variable for admin? As soon as I write V, I can see all the variables that are coming that start with V. Do you see the icons that differ, team? The icons are differing depending on what we are using. So variable is called different icon, a method has got different icon. So I'll say v admin username. That is what I want. So I just select this. Now, since I'm going to use almost the same thing, I will copy this whole format, put it, and that is where we become faster programmers. Copy paste. You copy what is working and then you modify. So my d.find element by XPath. What is the new XPath? For the next one, copy this. So this project 2 team will take us almost about 3 to 4 overall sessions to complete. It is not a one-day activity. It's not a 1 hour activity. It will take us overall 3 to 4 sessions to complete this first one. So I change the XPath. Now let's put the variable. So v admin password. Sorry team. At this point, I have a code ready. Let me run this code and see if it's working. So begin test, VURL, all these print statements we got from previous. Let's see if it opens up Firefox as a browser. There you go. Firefox is opened up. It's going to navigate. It went to interrupt.com/app. That means get work. It should click on login. It did. So that worked as well. And it's able to enter the username and password. Fantastic. So we've got a part of the code working. Now, when we come back in day 4, we're going to go through the remaining pieces of entering this information and so on. Look at the amount of effort that is involved in automation. Automation is like building a factory team. Manual is doing something without a need for a factory. I don't need anything to set up. I just go about producing it. But once I realized that even though I spend time in building a factory, over a period of few weeks or months or years, it will become easy for me to get a return on the investment of effort, money, time, all the resources that we spent onto it. The same thing with our automation testing. When we're doing automation, there is investment into it, but the return is going to be super sweet when we start using it over and over. What are the three fundamental rules of automation, team, that I always keep saying? The benchmarks that we need to always refer to. Three fundamental things for automation. The E, R, and A. Keep this at the back of your mind. Efficiency, reusability, and accuracy. And those benchmarks will always guide us to doing some good automation as we keep going along. All right, everyone. So that's it for day 3. We have started a new project. We're going to go execute. It's going to be fantastic. Uh, but team, at the same time, day 4 is not yet mentioned because we're using the same old link. There have been few participants who have already confirmed and so on, and we also have not said day 4 because I wanted to make sure that I get a wider audience. This course is being sought after by many candidates worldwide. So I just want to make sure that all of them get the opportunity, have gone to the day 1, day 2, day 3, and are able to join day 4. So from the next session onwards, it's going to be a paid session. It will be at a different URL for you to register and so on. This URL will not work anymore. All the communication regarding that my team will send. But if you are someone who's looking at continuing with this program, then you must, sorry team, choking up a little bit. Then you must pay, make sure that you get your premium access after your payment and continue from there on. All right, everyone. Any questions, please write to learn@ITeLearn.com and the team will be glad to help you out from there. That's it from my side, everyone. Thank you so much. Have a great day. And I'll see you all in day 4. The communication about the date and the time and the new URL only for the premium members will be shared in an email. But in the meanwhile, make sure that you make a decision about it, that this is the course and that you wanna, it's going to help your career, and we'll take it forward from there. Thank you all. Thank you so much. Bye for now. Talk later. Bye then.